You're watching The Mom View, sponsored by the Herzog Foundation.
According to the documentary Healthcare Decoded, the U.S. healthcare system is fantastic at making sick people well. What it's terrible at is restoring the health and vitality of people who are generally in poor health. Well, today on The Mom View, we're talking about healthcare in the United States, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's coming up next. Welcome to the Mom View. We're so glad that you're joining us again this week. I'm your host, Debbie Corlitis, and we have...
I'm Kimberly Fletcher.
And...
Vanessa Fora.
Okay. Well, the ladies are all on the couch here, and we're talking about healthcare. I guess I'm just going to kick this off and say I'm so thankful that we live in a country where we have medical freedom, because socialized medicine in some of these countries is terrible. But the flip side of it, there are a lot of challenges in our healthcare system that are making it difficult for us to get the right care. Mm-hmm. Some experiences for you?
So years ago when I was raising my kids, I had a private care doctor in his own office. That's like unheard of now. Yeah. And as they got older, I started to see that the doctors were more coming together in these big clinics.
Right.
And so you have got a lot of politics, and you've got a lot of making money. Instead of patient care, it's about money making.
Yeah.
And so you're not getting the same care that you used to. And trying to find an individual doctor in an individual clinic, I mean, it's just unheard of.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that comes to mind, since you mentioned, Debbie, socialized healthcare. I mean, look at countries or places like Cuba, right? Nicaragua. It's like there's so much informalities in those countries that when you come to the U.S., on a good side, right, the bright side, everything is a lot more cleaner, newer, better in so many ways. So yeah, it has its pros and cons.
Yeah, I remember that my mom had her doctor's phone number, personal phone number, written by the phone.
That's the way it used to be.
Right.
Okay, I don't expect them to do house calls, okay?
Right.
That was like
but it was
pioneer
just so
days.
different.
But being able to have a relationship with your doctor, I mean, that would be awesome. So I have a doctor that I never go to because I don't like him.
Right.
But you have to have a doctor within these clinics. So I always ask for his nurse practitioner. And when I call for an appointment, they're like, "Well, your doctor's not available." I'm like, "I don't care. I don't want him. I want her."
Right. And you never know who you're going to get in these in these groups now too.
Well, and at least to your point, at least I can choose that. I mean, at least I have the group.
Yeah.
And in socialized medicine, you don't have any choices.
So it's like you're thankful for America's healthcare, but you also can see a lot of the problems that are there.
Fixed.
Yeah, it needs to be fixed. Well,
Things are shifting for sure.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about this, and we've got some great experts on the show here. The U.S. spends more on healthcare than any of the other countries, but we have some of the worst outcomes. We're going to talk about why that is right after this break. Don't go away.
Across America, parents are searching for an education that does more than prepare their children academically. They want schools where truth is taught, character is formed, and faith takes root. But too many families struggle to find that kind of education. The Herzog Foundation exists to change that. We accelerate quality, Christ-centered K-12 education so families and culture can flourish. Through the Herzog Foundation Institute, we equip Christian teachers and leaders with free world-class training so they can build schools that shape hearts as well as minds. And through Schoolbox, we walk alongside the brave parents and leaders launching new Christian schools, micro schools, and co-ops, providing free resources and real mentorship every step of the way. Through Heartlander News, we inform families, educators, and leaders about the issues shaping our schools, our culture, and our country. This is more than a mission. It's a calling to give the next generation what they deserve. Find out how you can be a part at herzogfoundation.com.
There is power in being a mom because we truly care. Nobody's going to care more about your children than you. And that's what this group is about, is real women getting together to fight real battles for our country.
Moms for America is a national movement of moms reclaiming our culture for truth, family, freedom, and the Constitution.
And I will tell you, I'm a journalist, but I am a mama bear. And I am a mama bear till the last breath in my body. And that's the most important thing I've ever done with my life.
Never, never underestimate the mother who's protecting her child. She will outfight fear. She will outlast danger. And she will outlove the world. And you surely do not mess with Mama Bear.
You can't push anything on our kids. We will stand up for our kids no matter what the consequences may be.
Moms for America is one of the most important organizations in saving our republic.
There are eyes, there are ears, and they're the most fierce fighters for our kids that we will ever know.
Every mission has two parts, those who give and those who do. And when we come together, we are stronger together in fulfilling that mission. An investment in Moms for America is an investment in the future. And we literally hold the future of America in our hands.
Matthew Little is a journalist and senior editor associated with the Epoch Times. He works with their health and wellness division, and he's the producer of their newly released documentary, Healthcare Decoded. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the trailer for this documentary.
400,000 Americans die every year from a misdiagnosis. 400,000 more have a long-term disability as a result of a misdiagnosis. How does that happen? Right now, the United States spends more on healthcare than the total GDP of every nation in this world besides China.
It was the first day of medical school. The guy was writing on the chalkboard and he said, a healthy patient is a lost client. So just understand the medical system has no incentive to get you healthier. That would be pretty bad for the system.
It's also very money driven. The entire population's the market. People need to be cautious about to what extent they seek medical care when they're well.
When you go to a doctor, you're the one who's the boss, not the doctor.
Doctors are very smart. They're very dedicated. They're very hardworking, but they're rushed. They have to get to the next patient and the next patient. And as a result of that, mistakes get made.
Look, our healthcare system is killing hundreds of thousands of people a year. We know that. It's been well studied.
It's important to ask, what are we doing this for? Why are we doing this treatment? Why are we taking this medication? It's important to find out what is the end result here. Where are we going with this? And it's really important in the healthcare system to know that every action you take has consequences. Being a good patient is not being a compliant patient. Being a good patient is one who takes an active role in their healthcare.
I think a crisis is upon us.
We make human beings into algorithms, and that's really tragic.
Well, that's a wow after we see that trailer. Welcome, Matthew, to the couch here at the Mom. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
I want to thank you for doing this film because as you know, the whole MAHA movement, it's like largely moms. Mm-hmm. And we have been very concerned about a lot of the things going on with our food, with our health, with medical care. But this is something that has been escalating for the last 30 years. And it's gotten to a point where I'd say we're close to a crisis. And I'm really glad that you did the film.
It's eye-opening for sure. Very scary.
Tell us about the movie. Why did Epoch decide to do this? I mean, was this something that people were asking for, or did you just feel like, the time is now for us to really discuss healthcare and expose some of the issues at hand?
Well, healthcare, as the model exists now, is incredibly expensive, and for Americans, outcomes are very poor. Dollar for dollar, the worst healthcare system in the world. And this model, its basic approach is bankrupting the Western world, every developed country in the world, because people are getting treatments that don't fundamentally resolve what ails them. We're very good at treating acute scenarios. Somebody's got an arm getting cut off or something about to kill them. We can keep them alive. But healing takes something more, healing takes something more. And a lot of what's making us sick are cultural issues. They're moral issues. Mm-hmm. And you can't cut and prescribe your way out of that. And so people need to understand what the system can do and what it can't do. So if you look at what's making people sick, it's how they live their daily lives. And what happened is that we used to have things that sustained our well-being naturally. We belonged to meaningful communities. We had real value to the people around us. We felt purpose in the things we did. And slowly, bit by bit, we lost that. And we lost the connection to something greater. We lost our faith. We lost a lot of things that just gave us true contentment. And what we've replaced that with are things that are very depleting. You know, we're scrolling our way through our sadness and our emptiness, and the food has become very hard to resist, and it's not that nourishing.
It is hard to resist,
and then, you know, if you're sad or you're anxious, there's a pill for that, and these doctors they're not there to resolve these types of issues. They're there to take care of that immediate problem, and they're constrained. And so, you know, it's in the end, we have to take a hard look at ourselves and how we, you know, create our communities, our society.
So I went to I don't go to my doctor, I mentioned that in the opening, but I went to my nurse practitioner a couple weeks ago. I had an ear infection. I'm smart enough to know that I had an ear infection. I'm old enough to know what's wrong with me. Anyway, so I went in and she goes, "Oh, I haven't seen you in a while." I was like, "Because I haven't been sick." they all these like well baby checks and come in for your physicals and your annual checkups and everything, and then you leave loaded with, oh, you have this and this, and take this and this, and it's like the relationship that we used to have with our doctors, where they really wanted to know your well-being, is different. And I'm trying to remember who it was, but somebody, I was at an event and they said, you know, it's very important that we understand what healthcare is. It is not medical care. We have to differentiate between medical care and healthcare. We're responsible for our own healthcare, and medical care is when we need something extra. But our healthcare system is turned into a medical care system.
Yeah, it's a huge industry, obviously, that with pharmaceuticals and group plans. Now, I mean, we're not even talking about insurance crisis, you know, because that really, and this year's been very tough for health insurance on a lot of Americans. So for your point, what were you hoping that people would get from this documentary? What were you hoping that they would walk away with?
We want them to understand what it is and what it's not, and how it operates, and why they have the experiences they do, and then also how to contend with that. Because if you think that the healthcare system is set up to really help you deal with, oh, I'm not sleeping well, I have this ache here, this ache there, and you go in, you're inviting trouble a lot of times. Because the system is set up to look for troubles. It's incentivized to look for troubles, and American medicine is extremely good at finding problems. But a lot of those problems, it's very difficult to assess whether it's going to be something significant, and the incentive is to act on very specific protocols, and those protocols tend to have consequences and side effects and risks.
You bring up a very good point, because I went in, I'm trying to remember what the initial problem was, but they ended up saying, oh, it must be your thyroid. And they had me go through all these extensive tests, including put this big needle in my neck. And every test, it was like, well, we're not sure. Well, we're not sure. Mm-hmm. And it got down to the bottom line. It's like, we think we might need to remove your thyroid. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start doing some research on this. I still have my thyroid and I'm fine. So but then there are medical procedures which you do need. And so it's like, how do you justify when it is time and when it isn't, and the cost of healthcare with patient outcomes? You address this in the documentary.
Yeah, and that's what's so hard about this for Americans, because one, you're supposed to go get these routine screenings, and they may or may not have value. There's a lot of controversy around that. Mm-hmm. And then it's also, what is the first thing you do if they do find something? Because the healthcare system, it's good at rapid, significant, impactful interventions.
Right, like triage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you tie this to the decline in primary care? So that's something that that actually was one of the main reasons that you went after this documentary. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, so, I mean, people are basically, they need slower medicine. So if something does come up, you should start not with like something dramatic, like taking out your thyroid. Right. Look at the lifestyle factors, look at the emotional factors, look at where mind and body come together, because this being that we inhabit, while we're in this world, it's an interplay, a really beyond medical science's understanding, interplay of how we think, how we feel, how we act, what we eat, what we absorb from our environment. And so, as it is now, primary care doctors used to have a better understanding of their patients. How do they live? Is this guy angry all the time? Did his wife just pass away? Is he?
They knew them,
Kimberly's
right?
point,
The
yes.
doctors knew their
It was a
patients much better.
And they knew my kids.
Yeah.
So I remember when I had the private care doctor who was in his own practice, I could just call him and I could say, hey, I think my son has an ear infection again. And he'd be like, you know better than me. Just, you can drop him by tomorrow, but I'm going to prescribe you something now so we can sleep tonight. I don't have any appointments today. I mean, you don't get that.
No.
And now it's like conveyor belt medicine. You're just like running through. I'm very blessed right now because I really love my nurse practitioner. And she is, she's actually a physician's assistant. And she's great. She takes time with me. And so in fact, sometimes where it's like, can I go now? But that is so rare. And I really had to hunt for that.
And that's one of the tragedies is that the way the system's incentivized is that, how to say this, because we're trying to fix things that are lifestyle and culture with these very expensive interventions, there's never enough money. And so the system is trying to get money and there's all kinds of complicated factors. So they end up prioritizing sometimes expensive things. And primary care doesn't make money. It is not a money-generating unit, even though it would save the system a fortune if the doctor did know the patient could take that time.
And that's why they're specializing, right? They're specializing more and more.
Yeah, we have a lot of specialists.
Yeah,
That's like I have noticed that they're just popping up everywhere.
Yeah,
and
some
it's
of
a
that's-
path to specialists.
Some of that's justified, but I think just like anything, it gets overplayed and abused. What about being your own advocate? And one of the things when we just saw this trailer is that doctor said, if you get well, then we lose you as a client or a customer or as a patient. Are the doctors kind of caught up in this world of everybody's always sick, so we're always going to be treating them? Or is there any road to
They're trying
recovery?
to keep us sick.
Is there any road to wellness? It seems like that is a part of this documentary as well.
It is. And it's really, you have to take responsibility.
Be your
You
own
have
advocate,
to take responsibility. And this world makes it hard. Like the temptations before you are more compelling than ever, and the things that help you resist them are weakened more than ever. So there's just so much more responsibility and wisdom and just attention that you have to apply. And that's difficult. That's really hard for people. So in terms of a solution to all of this, I mean, really, it comes down to like a return to human tradition and living in line with, what is going to be good for us, what's healthy for us, what sustains us. And I don't know how that, you have to strengthen people. That's what the Epoch Times is, Epoch Health, the section I'm in, our mission is to strengthen people. And I think that's something that you guys are doing as well. You're trying to help people understand the situation they encounter and then meaningfully respond to it. And that's really what you have to do. You have to strengthen.
We talk a lot about insurance now, but I don't think people understand just how insurance plays into the medical industry. Can you address that?
I mean, it's such a jumbled mess, but
An explanation.
Yeah, there's all this amalgamation and vertical integration that's happened. So now you have hospitals and insurance companies that are buying up all of those. You said your physician had an independent practice. That's gone because now the physician practices are owned by these hospitals and insurance companies. And then you have the insurance companies buying the pharmacy benefit managers and the pharmacies. So you go to buy your pills and the cash price is higher than your insurance copay, which is a mind-boggling and I mean it's abhorrent. It makes no sense, and you got to question the ethics involved in all of that. So it's we're digging into this part of things more and more now because it's so convoluted that to distill it down to meaningful things is a little bit difficult. But basically, there's too much money.
Yeah.
There's just too much money, and the American people pay a phenomenal amount as taxpayers and they don't get the benefit. And then the employers are paying a fortune. And then the individuals with their extremely high deductibles. If you're funding your insurance, you know, if you're paying a lot of that yourself, and even if you're paying it through your taxes, you should have a lot more influence.
I wanted to ask too, just real quick, about when you have to be your own advocate. And that's, Kim said this
100%.
story, you know, a couple times too to us recently about this particular thing. I've had to be my own advocate, watch my father in a crisis. You know, we had to be an advocate because the doctors will move you from place to place, to doctor to, oh, it's this, maybe it's that, and send you on a wild goose chase. What did you find that you're really walking away with this? Because you went and interviewed all these people. You were the one sitting in the chair with them. And what's that message for our moms that are watching about their health care? What would you say as you walk away from this documentary?
Especially the moms that have parents, right? Elderly
parents
that
or a
can't-
sick child.
Right,
either
that
way.
can't advocate for themselves.
I think the point that Kimberly was making about your father not knowing all those pills, you have to know what medical care you're receiving. You cannot be entirely deferential. You, especially you've got all those different specialists, they are not talking to each other. They don't know what they're doing. My wife's father, and you know, he was on all these pills. We thought he was developing dementia. We were like, oh my goodness, he's on his way out. They took him off some sleeping pills, and he just came back to life. So you absolutely must know what the care is. You must understand it. You must be proactive about asking, hey, are there any other approaches for this? What are the side effects of this? What other consequences could there be?
They get agitated when you ask questions. It drives me crazy. You know, what really frustrates me about this is that there are simple solutions, but there are systemic barriers that are making it near impossible for us to get back to any resolution. What are some of the systemic barriers that you found?
Oh my goodness. I mean, where do you start? It's been such this convoluted mess of like, we had this really, the system that was very good at what it did. You know, if you came in with an infection, you had a wound, boom, you know, we can fix that. And then we started coming in with these other ailments, and it kept on with this very limited view. And you have to understand, the body is beyond modern medical science's capability to evaluate. So these protocols and treatments are based on looking at a very small reaction in the body, and so they're never quite fully matched. So I mean, if you want to find some fix to that, I don't know. I really,
there's no easy fix.
Yeah, and that's what the experts all say.
I think to be your advocate, I think is it.
Yeah, and we've lost so much trust in the medical field, right?
Yeah.
It's not like before when something happened and you went to the doctor and you had that trust in the doctor and the system. Nowadays, it's, am I going, to the right doctor? Is this doctor doing what he's supposed to be doing? And you're questioning everything. And with AI, I see my brother looking up every single
Dr.
medicine
Google.
on all these AI apps, because we want to make sure that our parents are getting what they really need. And I'd be very honest, 80% of the time they're not. And they're not even taking medicine that they're supposed to be taking.
Yeah.
And nothing has changed.
That is a huge point that is so important. There is no trust. And I can't think of a mom that I've talked to in the last 5 years who said they trust their doctor. It's that bad. I mean, they don't even want to go because they just don't trust them. And we used to be able to.
And if you can find one, you really have to do a ton of investigation. I mean, I do love my doctor, but I've had to go alternative. Because the mainstream, that's a whole other discussion.
That's right.
Won't let you do anything holistic. It's a pill instead of at the core.
And now the visits are lasting less than 10 minutes? I mean, I remember, one of the visits with my mom, she went in and out, and it was like, that's it. Yeah. That's all. Yeah, 10 minutes. When before, it used to be that connection. There used to be that relationship that, to your point, Kimberly, earlier.
I'm so glad you did this documentary.
I want to ask, how do we watch this documentary?
Well, you go, we have a special kind of offer for your viewers.
Okay, come on, bring it.
And can you put a little QR code on screen? Okay, so theoretically right now people are seeing that. You can scan that. The documentary will be free and until sometime in August. or a few weeks after this airs.
Excellent.
So you can watch it there. And then, of course, you can subscribe to the Epoch Times and you
Which
get
I
access
highly
to.
recommend. There's so much good information. And I didn't even know about the whole medical part of the magazine and the newspapers online and everything until we were doing this. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's a whole entire medical section on Epoch Times.
We have a big team. We have a very dedicated team, a lot of doctors, a lot of experts. In the documentary, you'll see our healthcare reporter. And she's really trying to answer in much better detail the kinds of questions you were asking. Which
That's
is how
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Epoch Times, for the free pass to watch the documentary. I think everyone is going to be very interested in taking a look at it because it affects all of us. All right, right after this break, a physician weighs in on our conversation over healthcare. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Being involved in Herzog has given me a great deal of optimism for what is happening in Christian education.
What we wanted to do was be an organization that empowers, that is a catalyst for Christian education.
They've developed such a rich resource of best practices. I'd tell anyone who wants to start a school to go to their website, sign up for their trainings.
Herzog wants to partner with you and walk with you through the highs and lows.
We're so grateful for the Herzog Foundation.
We feel like if we can build leaders, leaders will build the movement. And it's happening.
It's not just our school, it's all over the country. The Lord is at work.
Going to a Christian school would be beneficial to anyone. I've lived those benefits. Again, thank you again to the Herzog Foundation for that.
There is power in being a mom because we truly care. Nobody's going to care more about your children than you. And that's what this group is about, is real women getting together to fight real battles for our country.
Moms for America is a national movement of moms reclaiming our culture for truth, family, freedom, and the Constitution.
And I will tell you, I'm a journalist, but I am a mama bear. And I am a mama bear till the last breath in my body. And that's the most important thing I've ever done with my life.
Never, never underestimate the mother who's protecting her child. She will outfight fear. She will outlast danger. And she will outlove the world. And you surely do not mess with Mama Bear.
You can't push anything on our kids. We will stand up for our kids no matter what the consequences may be.
Moms for America is one of the most important organizations in saving our republic.
There are eyes, there are ears, and they're the most fierce fighters for our kids that we will ever know.
Every mission has two parts, those who give and those who do. And when we come together, we are stronger together in fulfilling that mission. An investment in Moms for America is an investment in the future. And we literally hold the future of America in our hands.
Dr. Prasanth Reddy's career experience includes training in internal medicine, medical oncology, and hematology. In addition to earning his medical degree from the University of Kansas Medical Center, he is the alumnus of Harvard Business School. Now, Dr. Reddy is also a lieutenant colonel in the United States Air Force Reserve, and he's joining us today on the Mom View. Welcome, Doctor. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you for having me here. It's such an important topic that we're going to talk about.
I'm just wondering, after all that, what do you do in your free time?
I mean, they're a pretty impressive resume, might we add. But I know that we you heard the segment prior, and all of us, we were like, when Pam and I were looking at the show, we're like, we have to have a doctor on. You know, it's nice to have a documentary that talks about the crisis, but someone that works daily with patients in the industry. Primary health care is probably at its all-time low. What have you seen over how many decades of you being a doctor?
Gosh, it's been a couple of decades. I've dated myself a little bit.
That's
right?
okay.
So, I mean, but what I will tell you is that medicine is changing, and I think for the worse. I think technology is awesome, and I think it's adding to what we can do in healthcare, but we can't rely solely on technology. And so part of healing, which is the whole point of medicine,
right,
is to be there for your patients. And we can't replace being there, being present with just technology.
Wow. So where is that leaving us now? What's the hole? And I mean, we've lost we've lost personal care. To your point with technology,
Yeah,
right?
what do you see as the biggest problems that have happened in medicine? What's the biggest challenge today?
Well, I would say, and you guys mentioned this earlier, it's you have to trust your healthcare provider.
Yeah.
And you have to do that as an advocate for yourself. So a lot of patients that I've seen is they're nervous about, oh, what's my doctor going to think? No, you're at the wrong clinician if they get mad at you for trying to get healthy, right?
Good
so,
point.
so stand up for yourself, ask the questions, demand to be heard, and you have that right, and you should take full advantage of that. You are paying for a service, and you deserve to get the best service. So that's the first thing.
What is this? I've heard the phrase values-based medical care.
Yeah.
What is that?
Explain that to us.
Yeah, so right now in the U.S., we're in mostly a fee-for-service model. And so that's like volume. That's how many patients can I see in a day. That's one of the reasons why primary care docs are overwhelmed, because they're the gatekeepers of healthcare. And they're now being forced to see so many patients with so little time, they can't provide great care. It's not their fault. The system's broken. So they're getting paid by the number of tests, the number of images, the number of lab tests, the number of people they're seeing, and what drugs you're going on. We're encouraging not health, but we're encouraging sickness because that's how the healthcare system is incentivized.
This is why they're referring you to 2-3 specialists every time you go see them. At least is the situation with my parents.
Yeah. So here, what I would tell you is that there is a time and a place where sometimes the amount of information has gotten so complicated, it's hard to understand everything. So when it's appropriate, you ask for a lifeline. That's okay. What's not okay is, referring folks or ordering tests when it's not necessarily needed as a replacement for listening. So tests and all these things, they help us think through what a person may have. But there's something called the history and physical, touching a person, listening to a person, that we're losing in medicine.
And that's the values-based part.
It is. The value-based part is we have to change the system where clinicians have an opportunity to practice medicine the way it was intended by listening to what a patient says. That's what moms do. Moms are pretty good about it.
That's when you realize what's really is going on, for the most part.
And I think when we think of medicine too, we would like to have more preventative medicine, more of a holistic look. And I think until recently, anything holistic was considered taboo, right? It was like only sick, and then we give medicine. We never look at the root cause, or we never understand what's actually happening to the patient. It's putting a Band-Aid on it, right? They just keep progressing and they keep getting worse. With the pill, you get a little relief.
Well, in the prior segment, we were talking about, whole person medicine.
Yeah.
And so in my career, I've had the opportunity to do lots of research, even at the level of the gene, and to try to understand why a person has a disease and what's driving their disease. But I quickly learned that that's insufficient. Necessary. We have to understand things, but that's not good medicine because we're losing the whole person. And the way that we get access to the whole person's story is to be able to understand where are they in their mental health? What are they putting in their body?
Oh, no, they take care of that. They got 3 little questions. Are you feeling safe at home? Do you feel like hurting yourself? How you doing? I'm sorry, what?
What does this
who's
have to
going to
do,
say
right?
that? And do they even read it if they are having trouble? Do they feel safe at home?
Well, this is what's so interesting. I ran for the U.S. House. Unfortunately, I lost.
Good for you.
But I learned a lot.
I'm glad you did.
But I will tell you what's interesting is that policy is important. And one of the ways we can fix healthcare is good policy. But the way that we demand that is not in Congress. You know where we demand it? At home, where moms are, around the kitchen table. You have a vote when you go to an election. Guess what? You have a vote in healthcare too.
Right.
If you're not getting the trust or the time or the feeling that you're being heard, then use your ability to vote. There's more than one clinician out there. You can find another clinician. And that's what.
But sometimes there's like a 3-month wait or a 6-month wait, or they're not taking your patients.
They limit your choices.
And I think it's so important to be able to identify if my physician, if my doctor is actually there, to benefit me, right? Is he doing the right, asking the right questions, doing the right things? So how do we identify whether this is I don't want to say good doctor because but it's basically, how is this doctor
Right for us.
right? Exactly. Thank you. Right for me and for my family.
I'm going to go back to my mom. Sometimes, love my mom. Unfortunately, I lost my mom, a couple years ago.
Sorry.
But what she taught me was that you got to have those honest conversations.
Mm.
And so what I would encourage, sometimes they're difficult conversations.
Right.
But if moms didn't understand that their kids need to hear difficult conversations, we'd be in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is the same thing when you're in that office. And it's not coming from a place of bad.
Mm-hmm.
You're basically just saying, hey, I want to ask you this question. Sometimes I don't feel like I'm being heard.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you'll be surprised. Sometimes people have to hear that. And that will actually trigger maybe even the clinician to pause and say, gosh, I got to take a deep breath. Now, it may not work all the time.
Well, I even if there's a possibility, I mean, it's worth pursuing. I think that's fantastic. Another thing that's concerned me about the medical care system is how politicized it has become. And I hate the word woke, but it's out there. So it's like all of this culture that's coming in has now infected the medical system. And I even had someone tell me, the younger the doctor is, the more you should be concerned. Because how they're teaching in medical school now is the parents don't know. You're the expert.
Right.
Ignore them.
Yeah, that's a
The
good
child is what's important.
Mm-hmm.
And I went into the doctor for my son to get this was years ago, he's 12 years old, to get a physical for camp. And the doctor, young woman, and I'm just going to say it, if they're women, it's also more dangerous. It's just the truth. If they're young and women, you need to be really careful, ask a lot of questions, because the feminization has come into the medical system. And so this doctor was a young woman, and she got to the point where she had to examine my son's private area. And she's like, okay, you need to leave the room now. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So I explained to my son what was happening. I'm like, it's okay because you teach your kids no one's supposed to touch you there, And so I was explaining to him, and I said, it's up to you. Do you want me to stay or do you want me to go? I want you to stay. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, no, you have to go. I'm like, no, that's not happening. I'm sitting there arguing back and forth with her. So luckily, there was a senior doctor who was down the hall. I put my foot in the door so she couldn't push me out because she was trying. And I called him in, and he said, no, she's going to stay in here. She was ticked off. And the first question she asked my son, he just turned 12 years old. When did you start having sex? And I'm like, and so their whole thing is, if you have to be in here,
Mm-hmm.
then what do you have that you don't want your child to tell me? What are you hiding?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the whole medical system has turned into this anti-parent thing. Have you noticed that?
I would tell you that it's a frustration of mine as well. Nobody knows their child better than their mom,
Thank
their parent.
you.
And so at the end of the day, in fact, in many cases, because they're unable to make medical decisions on their own because they are minors, you really need the input of a parent or a guardian to say, hey, that makes sense or that doesn't make sense. And I think we're at risk of a really, really dangerous slippery slope when we think a system can do better than somebody who knows that child day to day and what's important to them. And besides that, the system doesn't define values. God defines values.
Amen.
Yes.
And parents and community and family. Yeah, and so the government certainly doesn't define values.
And the government is in on a regular basis on our kids. In Illinois, at 13, you have to have your parents' permission to view your chart. I mean, that's where we've gone, right? Like the government, the doctors, it's like parents, maybe you can be allowed to parent your child. Are you seeing that too a lot?
You have to get permission from the doctor.
Yeah, again, it is a frustration, right? I mean, we're saying legally a child can't, buy a cigarette or drink alcohol,
right.
But they're making medical decisions that could have lifelong repercussions.
Right, especially with the puberty blockers and all of the transgender movement. This is all children making these decisions.
It is a concern, right? And if you think about things like mental health, well, there may be mental health issues, but we live in this era of a quick fix. And sometimes the decisions that we make when we have a quick fix have long-term consequences. Short-term decisions, long-term consequences. And so we have to balance those things. And if there are mental health challenges, we got to figure out a way how we address those mental health challenges instead of looking for a quick fix.
And you're getting your master's in theology
I am.
now. How are you applying that to value-based medicine? How would that look like if I was to be, a patient of someone who's doing some of the same track as you are?
Well, I think in many clinical situations, we avoid the importance of spirituality, and to our detriment.
Yeah.
Because nothing, in my opinion, is as important as your connection with God, and to ignore it puts you at peril in how you're thinking about things, where you gain your strength, how you're resilient. By the way, that's as important as any pill you're taking. How you're going to take your pills even, right? Am I going to be consistent and compliant with what I'm doing? Well, if you're starting from a place of strength, a place to anchor, God, family, community, you're much more likely to follow those same directions of taking your pill than just saying, here's a pill. And so,
or any kind of diagnosis, any kind of treatment, whether it's a pill or not. COVID was very eye-opening because that really opened the world's eyes to how dysfunctional the medical system was.
Right, especially vaccines, the whole thing.
Exactly. And they started pushing all of these things, and we're like, wait a minute. Then you start to ask questions, and then they all get upset because you're asking questions. I love the idea of the values-based medicine. I would love a doctor like that. And during COVID, we saw the exact opposite.
Right.
When families can't be together. She couldn't go into the doctor's office with her son. I had surgery, and I wasn't allowed to have anyone with me.
Oh, that was terrible.
And it's like family care. I mean, I almost died. I had hematoma in both my legs. I had shattered my collarbone, and I couldn't bring my husband into the emergency room with me.
Yeah.
And when you had to go into emergency surgery, and you're like, the best healing is having the family, God and family, and that strength with you. And they just wiped it all out in COVID, and I don't think it's come back.
Yeah. How do we get hope? How do we change this? What's your advice for us? Because we want some answers from you, doctor. Help us.
Rapid fire.
Well,
This is the problem.
I tell you what, the answer's right here. And the reason why I say it's right here is that there are certain things you can legislate. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to run was that policy is important. I'm not saying policy isn't important, but how we shape that policy doesn't start in Congress. It shouldn't start in Congress. It should start at home. And then those values are translated to reflect the values of the people in Congress. That's the way it's supposed to work. So we are empowered. And the moment we're disempowered is the moment that the bad influence, evil, if we want to be dramatic about it, wins, right? We can't allow that to happen.
So my husband got on me because every single time I go into the clinic, I make sure they know I don't like my doctor. And he's like, stop doing that. You're just so obnoxious.
They might give you the wrong pill, girl. You better be careful.
They might. But now I'm thinking, okay, maybe not be that obnoxious. But I think you're right that we do have to demand the change. And if we start pushing and asking the questions and say, I don't want that doctor and this is why. I want someone else. Because even when you're in these conglomerates and with the way that, PMOs and everything work, now here's your doctor choices. And if they're all bad, what do? So you just find the best denominator. But I think we are the answer. You've empowered me.
and we can all agree on that totally. But how do we even start?
Right.
There are moms out there that are thinking, yes, you guys are right, but where do I go? Do I start with my doctors in the doctor's office? No, but or where? What is the
Integrative
beginning?
medicine, holistic medicine. Where do we?
How do you begin advocating?
Even
for these
doctors
things?
need education, right? I've spent a lifetime, staying educated, and I'm not done. The day I stop learning is the day that I'm going to become a bad doctor. And so, but the first
I'm going
step,
to write that down.
That is powerful.
well, but the truth is, the first step is education.
Right.
And what we're doing even today is part of that education. Because folks are looking to you all to then spread, what is okay? What is acceptable? And maybe some folks, to your point, may think, well, that's not acceptable. And you don't have to do it in a mean way. But the idea is, if you're not understanding, you're not getting the time, you don't feel like you're being heard, you need to address that. And you can either address it by saying, I don't want to go and talk to my provider and say, I just don't feel like you're listening to me. And that's okay to say. I would encourage that as the first step, because I think most providers, I think they're coming from a place of good, but they have all these other pressures, and the system's designed in a way.
That's a very good point. We need to give a little grace.
I think the system is crushing them. Would you say that is? I mean, they've made them bogged down with so many paperwork, and my doctor said, I've got so many forms I have to fill out just to say hello, and it's like.
Well, they're checking boxes, right? So the question is, can we translate those checking boxes? Like, are you safe at home? Or are you facing domestic violence? Those are important questions, but they should be important because they translate into an action. And so where sometimes we lose the battle is we get into all this bureaucracy because we have good intentions, but it doesn't translate into value. And so that is what we have to understand, is not just checking off a box to check off a box, but is it actually helping meaningfully what the intent of doing that action is? And a lot of times we have, through government, unfunded mandates. And we check off a box, but then we don't see the value ever coming true. And that's a problem.
Yeah. What about some of the things that Secretary Kennedy is proposing, or some of the kind of like change the system, overhaul it? I mean, we've got a great president right now, but this is not something you do overnight.
Right.
So where can we go?
Well, I love, where we're starting, which is that, healthcare is not just about a pill or a test. Those are important things. Awesome innovations. I'm in some of those innovations.
Right.
But it doesn't end there. And so
I don't even think it starts there. It starts with your own body and how you're taking care of it.
100%. 100%. It has to start from home. It has to start from personal responsibility and accountability. If you don't care about your health, who's going to care more about your health than you?
Right.
And so you got to start there, and you got to be engaged. And if you start there, then you should feel very empowered to don't feel like you can't make a change. You can change the system. You can do it through elections, but you can also do it by getting organized, like the Maha movement. I mean, before became policy, it was a movement.
That's right.
Right.
And some of these things around diet, in the integrated medicine fellowship I went through, diet is critical. I would argue diet may be the most important part of health that we ignore. And some of the things that we looked at the food pyramid, that's kind of almost inverted, and the epidemic of childhood obesity and diabetes, and high fructose corn syrup and all these artificial dyes and preservatives that we use. We can't let business, trump healthcare,
Right.
Because it's a national security issue. If we have folks that can't go to work, all of our businesses will.
True.
And if we can't get, like, Secretary Hegseth said, if our military is, sick and they're not able to meet the task of what a soldier is supposed to meet, how are we going to defend the nation?
Right.
This is a core principle that we have to understand. Healthcare is central to our economic future, our military security. So we got to get this right.
Wow, so well said. And I guess that's really, when you think about it, the seriousness of it. If we have a sick nation, it
How do you
puts
do
us
anything?
in a very bad position, not only, like you said, for security, but in our home and in our community, and just with our future.
Well, I'll tell you, on antibiotics, sometimes at the 442nd Whiteman Air Force Base, our folks have been deployed in the global war on terror consistently since 9/11. And sometimes when all of our antibiotics and the production's overseas, well, if we need to have access to some of those things, boy, that's a problem. So even as we think about healthcare, and it's such a complicated space, but we have to be very thoughtful about what we're outsourcing and what stays in the U.S. and how important healthcare is to us. We certainly spend the money, but where's the value?
Maybe we're not going to get to simplifying it, but I'd really like to uncomplicate it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Well, thank you, Doctor. We really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to come and talk with the moms here on the Mom View.
Well, I appreciate it. By the way, I'll end with this. If somebody asks me what the most important job in America is,
Yeah,
it's mom.
Oh,
thank you.
Well, we
Thank
appreciate
you.
we appreciate all.
Well,
that you're
yours
doing
did
as
an
well.
excellent job for sure.
All right. Well, we're going to be back right after this break, and we're going to discuss a little bit more about America's healthcare crisis. Stay with us.
It's hard work being a mom today. So it is very important to have an organization that really cares about moms.
The role of parent is the most powerful position in the world because we've been entrusted with the souls of our future leaders. And if you're wondering how you could really wrap your mind around these principles and how you can put feet to your faith, I would definitely recommend that you find out more about, support, and get involved with Moms for America.
Across America, parents are searching for an education that does more than prepare their children academically. They want schools where truth is taught, character is formed, and faith takes root. But too many families struggle to find that kind of education. The Herzog Foundation exists to change that. We accelerate quality, Christ-centered K-12 education so families and culture can flourish. Through the Herzog Foundation Institute, we equip Christian teachers and leaders with free world-class training so they can build schools that shape hearts as well as minds. And through Schoolbox, we walk alongside the brave parents and leaders launching new Christian schools, micro schools, and co-ops, providing free resources and real mentorship every step of the way. Through Heartlander News, we inform families, educators, and leaders about the issues shaping our schools, our culture, and our country. This is more than a mission. It's a calling to give the next generation what they deserve. Find out how you can be a part at herzogfoundation.com.
There is power in being a mom because we truly care. Nobody's going to care more about your children than you. And that's what this group is about, is real women getting together to fight real battles for our country.
Moms for America is a national movement of moms reclaiming our culture for truth, family, freedom, and the Constitution.
And I will tell you, I'm a journalist, but I am a mama bear. And I am a mama bear till the last breath in my body. And that's the most important thing I've ever done with my life.
Never, never underestimate the mother who's protecting her child. She will outfight fear. She will outlast danger. And she will outlove the world. And you surely do not mess with Mama Bear.
You can't push anything on our kids. We will stand up for our kids no matter what the consequences may be.
Moms for America is one of the most important organizations in saving our republic.
There are eyes, there are ears, and they're the most fierce fighters for our kids that we will ever know.
Every mission has two parts, those who give and those who do. And when we come together, we are stronger together in fulfilling that mission. An investment in Moms for America is an investment in the future. And we literally hold the future of America in our hands.
Well, Dr. Reddy was fantastic, and now we're closing the show strong. Back with you now, Matthew.
All right, no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure.
Well, I want to go back to that quote. I cannot get it out of my head. A healthy patient is a lost client. I mean, that is devastating to me that that's the way that they think, and it causes me to wonder, how many times did they diagnose my child wrong, or how many what do I have to look forward to if that's their whole entire plan? How do we trust? Where do we find doctors that we trust? And you've become like an incredible source at Epoch Times to be able to provide these answers. We have a place we can go now.
Well, I mean, that's what we're striving to do. And I would definitely say it's not all doctors, like Dr. Reddy. I mean,
he was awesome.
Fantastic.
I feel empowered.
Right? And there's so many, they're so sincere, and they're stuck in a system. They got no time. I mean, but they're very sincere, a lot of doctors, and constrained and very hurt by it. But I mean, at Epoch Health, I mean, we are it's such a deep honor, to be honest, when you can serve people so directly. You can be so focused on trying to help people.
Yeah, so the resources that are there, I think what's most helpful for moms, right, is education or, whatever the current situation is, or, maybe it's this vaccine or, the tick epidemic, whatever. There's always something that's coming out where we have to figure out what's real and what's not. So tell us a little bit more about the resources you have regarding health and wellness, because you even have a series that you're doing right now, right?
We have have a lot of things. We have special guides. We go through very detailed information about things like ticks. We have different experts writing for us or working for us. We have medically reviewed articles. We have, what's happening right now in science. We're always reviewing the new science. And then we've got a dedicated healthcare reporter, Sharmi Tai, and you will see her in the documentary. She's fantastic, and she's doing an ongoing series really answering how do you navigate healthcare, how do you deal with these specific challenges, and how you as a parent or somebody who has aging parents make the best decisions in the face of what are sometimes not easy or good options.
And considering that the United States is the most medicated country in the world. So I believe that the medical field at this point, they need to earn the trust back.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a process.
It is. So all those resources, they can get them online, right?
Absolutely.
And I am a subscriber to Epoch Times.
Epoch. You pronounce it however you like.
Whatever your flavor is, tomato. Anyway, I am a subscriber, and I every time a video or anything comes out, I just plug in my email. It's awesome. It is extremely inexpensive, and moms, I absolutely encourage you to sign up for Epoch Times because they've got healthcare, they've got news you can trust. I mean, the whole entire system is just incredible. And I told one of the ladies there, I said, I get it in print too, and I shrink wrap them when they come because when the world comes to an end, somebody's got to have the truth left in there.
We do. We appreciate the great work there, and that it's fair and it's balanced and.
But the health and medical, I mean, that's just got I'm very, very excited about that.
Let's get again. How do we see this? Remind our audience. How do we see the trailer? Not the trailer. The movie.
The documentary.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we do have a special offer for your viewers.
Right,
they will now again see that QR code on the screen. You can scan it with your phone, and for the month of August, it's free.
So for the whole month of August. So this is wonderful.
And after you watch it, you're going to want to join Epoch Times.
Yeah. And I'm thinking we're going to be doing, I'm just proposing this now, but we're working on the insurance side of healthcare. So Sharmi's been working on this for about a month already. And that is, I think, warrants, I'm going to pitch that we do another documentary because I think this is something that affects a lot of people. It's
we
so
would
expensive.
very much be interested in that one.
Yeah.
Closing comments about healthcare and what our moms can do, or something that you saw in that documentary that you really want us to understand clearly.
I think it also touches back to some points that you guys have raised and Dr. Reddy pointed towards, which is that you are the authority. You are the responsible person, and you do have a lot of power. And if you've got the right information and you're willing to take that on, you have a lot that you can do. And so, pursue that understanding, pursue that insight, take that responsibility. You will be better off, and you will enjoy better wellness.
Thank you for providing the information so that we can. After this, I really feel more empowered after the show.
You got to get a new doctor.
I know. I need a new doctor.
That we have to elect the right people to office. So that's also very important.
Yeah. Thank you for coming. We so appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure.
Well, thank you. And to our moms, just make sure you keep following us at The Mom View. We so appreciate you stopping by every week. Check us out on Instagram and X, The Real Mom View, themomview.com website. And of course, always visit us at Moms for America. We have great information to help you on your journey through motherhood. So thanks for watching. Thank you. And we'll see you soon. Thanks.